Hello and welcome to tonight's We Create EDU Hangout. We have the pleasure of talking to Diana from Physics Girl, and if you have any questions for us, you can tweet us at We Create EDU. We are also monitoring the chat. Tim's going to be looking for all your questions, and he's going to post them in our chat, and we'll answer them. And first, we're going to start with some introductions. So I'm Jacqueline, and I run a channel called SciJoy, and it's a hands-on YouTube channel. And next, we'll go to Liz.
My name is Liz. My channel name is High Waisted Pantaloons, and I'm basically just a mom and a vlogger. And that's pretty much all that I do at the current time. I'm looking to do more in the future, but for now, that's pretty much all that I do. So, Betty?
Oh, yeah, I'm Betty. Hi. I do a channel called Articulations, and I talk about art and sometimes design, sometimes about museums and architecture. And I guess now I'll kick it over to Diana.
I just opened Articulations, so it popped up, and I was. Anyways, I'm Diana. I do a channel called Physics Girl. I've been doing it for about 2-ish, 3 years. And it's all about physics, although I dabble in some engineering and chemistry stuff here and there.
Oh.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So we'd hear you spoke at VidCon on different panels and things, and I've always been really interested in your YouTube stories. What made you want to start your channel?
So I started my channel right after I graduated from college. It was the summer of 2000 and no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't actually know when it was. It was around when I was doing research, and I was kind of like I had this idea in my head that I wanted to do science communication, and had taken a bunch of science writing classes where I blogged or I wrote articles, and thought that maybe that's the direction I would go. And I was like, I would love to work on something bigger someday, like a documentary or you know, something sciencey. So I started the channel with very few video editing skills, but enough to throw together some videos, and thought that that would be almost like a resume of sorts. Like someday someone on the Discovery Channel would see my YouTube channel and be like, wow, look at her portfolio, and would want to hire me. That was the idea, which was hilarious looking back on it now. And so I took some detours. I did research for a while, did engineering, and then I worked as an outreach coordinator at UCSD, and then at a science museum. And the YouTube channel sort of was an afterthought, something that I was like, maybe I'll come back to this, maybe I'll, you know, keep up videos here and there. But after the Flame Challenge, things kind of just snowballed, and it became something I could actually continue doing as a job. So that's, yeah. Anything, like, do you want more than that, or does that?
Yeah, it's a great answer. Do you want to explain the Flame Challenge to people that don't know it? Because it's a really interesting competition that...
I love that video, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So the Flame Challenge is a competition that happens every year, and if you're a scientist, you should definitely enter. It's put on by Alan Alda, and he challenges scientists to answer a question set forth every year to scientists to be judged by 5th graders. So the question should be answered aimed at a 5th grade level. In my year, the question was, what is color? So I answered what is color in any way I could, relating physics and other kinds of science that I didn't know as much about. And I won the competition, which meant that I got to go to the World Science Festival and meet Alan Alda, and UCSD and MIT and a few other places that I had been affiliated with wrote articles about it, and I think that gave my channel a bit more publicity. I started gaining a lot more subscribers around then, although there had been a kick to my channel from Minute Physics when he liked one of my shorter videos back in like February. of that year. And that, it's amazing how these really big channels have such an effect when they like or they share one of yours. Because I remember that was the first time my subscriber line, which was just the line, saw a spike, and I was like, "What's happening?" It was from Minute Physics. So thanks, Henry, wherever you are.
Sorry. I
was just going to say, I think I found your videos actually through the Vlogbrothers grant that you got. They also, that's the first time I heard about your channel.
Yeah, that was also, I mean, John Green tweeting out my channel was very good for subscriber numbers. So I met them through Derek Muller of Veritasium at VidCon, like at a VidCon event. Or actually I met Hank before VidCon, and I met John after VidCon, and he said something, like just sort of flippant about like, let me check out your channel, send me an email, send my assistant an email, and I was like, oh, John Green is so busy, I didn't think he'd get back to me, but he wrote me back an email that was kind of like all over the place, excited about my channel, and I just lost it, like, wow, this is really cool. So shortly after that, he told me that they were announcing these new grants for educators that were coming from their pre-roll ad money. And he said, we want you to be one of the first grant recipients. Do you want that? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take that grant. So it was a pretty small grant, but it was enough to buy some new equipment. I bought, this little remote so that I could actually start my camera recording myself. Without trying like a cane reaching over I never tried that, but I thought about it. And I think I bought a new lens with it and a few other things that just help the channel improve in quality. And that was, when was that? That was last year, 2015 sometime, or maybe earlier. God, it's all, maybe 2014. I don't know. It was a while ago now.
Did you start out doing videos just by yourself, or I think you had like a camera person for the Flame Challenge, right?
I had, I feel like I shouldn't admit this, but it's my ex-boyfriend. So he helped with some of it. The rest of it, I filmed myself, but he helped. Sorry, the dog is chewing on a spooky crocodile. So he helped with the pieces that were filmed out in the driveway, because I didn't want to, have the mailman drive by and I'm filming by myself in the middle of the street or something. But okay, hold on a second.
No problem.
I don't know if you guys can hear the squeaking, but okay, there we go. Got the crocodile. So he helped out to film bits and pieces of that, and I've had friends and family help me here and there. I had my mom film a couple videos, but I didn't get a camera person until I actually don't usually use a camera person. I still usually just do the black backdrop, but I have an editor now who helps if I ever need anything filmed outside, or I still ask for friends and family. But I also, more importantly, I hired a writer recently, which has really helped. She has a master's in physics, which is actually beyond where I went, and she's just incredible. It's really nice to have someone to bounce ideas off of, because I feel like so much of this job has been in isolation for so long that it's really nice to say, like, is this a good idea? Like, how could I improve this? Is this even correct? I've been asking specialists, but they don't, they speak over my level, so that's been really great.
How did you go about finding a writer to work with?
So as with most things, it was through connections. So I had a friend who had just gone through a science writing internship over the summer. It was like a transition from scientist into science journalist kind of program, and after she was done, I was like, oh man, I wish, did you know anyone that did physics there? And she's like, yeah, she worked for Wired for a little while. So she got me her name, and I talked to her for a little bit, and she fortunately didn't have a full-time position coming out of that internship, so I scooped her up, and she's been writing for me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, was just wondering, do you like I know you said like the flame challenge was like aimed at fifth graders. Would you say that like the videos that you do, like what is like the level or like target audience, like, of like, is it still sometimes like elementary school kids, or is it more like do you have that in mind when you're making the videos?
Yeah, that's been something really hard for me, and I think that I haven't really struck a good chord with my target audience. Some videos are just like, this is something fun I enjoyed playing with. It's a demo you can do at home, and I think those ones I make, and I try to make a lot of those because I want kids to be able to watch my videos. And then other videos I make about gravitational waves, or about inflation in the universe, or about things that a high schooler with like honors physics could probably understand all of. But sometimes I fail and I make it so that only a physics major could understand it. So I aim for the topics to be something that I'm really interested in and that I'm excited about, so that I can make that excitement show in the video. But I still have kids that are like, my favorite video is the one about gravity and the one about this and that. So, as young as 5 years old, they're interested in those other videos. And I remember when I was a kid, I would watch these shows on the Science Channel or Discovery Channel, and I didn't understand most of what they were saying, but there were things here and there that I was like, wow, that's so cool, I want to learn more. Or I would watch it kind of pretending that I knew what they were talking about. and so I'm hoping that the videos are reaching that really young audience just by virtue of the fact that they're curious kids. And sometimes I use candy. So
I like the candy.
Yeah, that always works.
I do too. I started recently talking with an animator to help with some of the stuff on the videos, and he was like, I like the candy look, you should go with that more, because he can kind of take the candy pieces and add in little animations on top of it. And like, I like the idea, but it's horrible because every time I do it, I end up with a stomach ache, and I eat so many of those gummy cherries. Is awful.
And the chocolate pretzels.
Oh yeah, those didn't last beyond the day. Actually, I almost was in trouble because I ate so many that I had to take away one of the bits, like the gummy bits, because I ate too many of the pretzels. I was like, ah.
That's so funny. That's awesome. Hold on.
So I actually, I had a question.
Yeah.
Well, it's a story and then a question. But I have two kids, and one of them is my daughter, 6 years old.
Gotcha.
And I'm saving a lot of the things that you've done, like the try-at-home stuff, for this summer. I want to do a bunch of those with her for over the summer. But she wants to be, right now, she told me the other day, she wants to be a musician, an author, a rock star, and a scientist. And so I'm curious, when you were a kid, did you want to be involved in science? Is that like a thing that you wanted to do from like the time that you were very young?
I wouldn't say so, no. I don't think I wanted to be an engineer or a scientist. I wanted to be a singer, an actress, a figure skater, which was hilarious because I grew up on Kauai and we didn't have a skating rink.
Yeah.
But and I think I wanted to be like a ballet dancer, a model, like all these kind of stereotypical girl jobs. And I attribute that partially to that's what I saw in the media. That's what I saw women as when I was a lot younger. So I didn't really know what scientists did. I had no idea what engineers did. And I remember asking, what does an engineer do up through high school, and just didn't get a good answer for what engineers did. And there were hardly any role models for these kinds of jobs on the island where I grew up. So I didn't see science much, so I didn't really want to do science.
Okay.
I think it wasn't until maybe high school that I thought science was really cool, and that was once I took physics class, maybe ninth or 10th grade.
Yeah, it's funny because my mom's an engineer, and I didn't even know what she did until I was like 16.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, my school also, we didn't have any robotics clubs. We didn't have any programming clubs or classes. We just didn't have anything related to engineering. And we had a bit of physics, but it seemed not so applicable at the time.
Mhm.
I liked it so much that I studied it anyways.
yeah, I do. Oh, Jacqueline, you're off again.
It's also hard for me because
I love it when you start and it's like this, but there's no sound.
and it's actually even worse for me because I clicked on the show notes link and my browser has gone into that and I haven't seen you guys since the beginning.
Oh no.
And at one point I have to figure out how to get back because I have the end broadcast button, but
I just go on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my question was going to be, since you're getting more and more popularity, and like you said, you didn't have a lot of role models, do people put you in that position? I know that people put Emily from the Brain Scoop a lot of times in that position as being like the woman role model for science.
I don't know. I don't know that I would say that in my general experiences, I feel like people are saying, you are a role model, that's your job now. Mostly they're just like, we like what you're doing with this education stuff, which is great because that's what I like to think of it as. But I do get the occasional email from, usually it's from dads that are like, my daughter or my son really likes your videos, and now my daughter, who's 3, wants to be a physicist. Which is, I mean, she'll change her mind, I'm sure, 10 times between now and when she's 4. But if that's something I'm doing, if I'm helping scientists get more visibility and more female scientists get more visibility for young girls out there, that's wonderful. That's great. I'm super happy for that to be the case.
Like I'm an aerospace engineer, and whenever I go somewhere,
Awesome.
that's kind of what I've been more the Emily, where they're like, "Oh, great, you're a woman and you're an engineer," instead of just being like, "Thanks for coming and talking as an engineer." So I didn't know if you were into that at all too. But that's great that you haven't. I like that people just see you as a science person.
Well, I mean, when it's comments on my videos, there's like a level of like excited that I'm a woman in science to crude about the fact that I'm a woman in science. So there's that. But for the most part, the comments are about the science. And when I go to talks and things, I always get a question about being a woman in science. So yes, like I do get questions about women in science, but not necessarily about like questions about being a role model for kids.
So how do you think your content has changed from when you started out to now?
I think it's changed in probably more ways than I even know or could describe. One of the biggest things is that I figured out how to turn my camera to HD. For the longest time, I was filming in 60 frames per second, 720. I guess that's kind of HD, but it goes up to 1080p on 30 frames per second, and I just didn't know. I had no idea. And I filmed a music video for a friend who plays the harp and has a really cool channel where she does covers on the electroacoustic harp. You should check it out. It's called Lara Harp. So I filmed that for her, and she was like, "Do you know how to, can you send me the 1080p version?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "No, this is 720p." And I think that was too long into having this camera that I didn't realize. I didn't know what 60 frames per second was, and I mean, the description is in the name, like frames per second, but I just didn't get it. So yeah, I think that they've improved in quality a little bit. I have some lighting. I was just filming, so I have like my lighting equipment up here right now and my camera right there. So equipment, but I think also one thing that's changed in the style of it is that I can be like incredibly goofy and silly, and I used to be a lot more silly in the first videos, and I didn't really expect anyone would watch them. And then when people started watching them and they're like, whoa, this is too much, I toned it down. And I think like I kind of, here and there, watch a video, I'm like, wow, that was pretty goofy, I still have it. But I think a lot of times I just get too nervous for what the response is going to be. If I just go over the top, and maybe maybe that's a good thing. Like maybe it would be distracting if I made it so much about the goof and so little about the science. So I really focus on the science and excitement, because I'm never worried about going over the top with excitement.
I think you do a good balance of that, and I think bringing in things like the candy, or you make a lot of puns in your videos. And I think that really adds to like not only your style and your uniqueness and your authenticity, but it also makes it more entertaining. Those are the teachers I remember. I had my favorite teacher. He was like flailing about in the classroom. We're like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "I'm getting hit by neutrinos left and right," and just like doing. And I still remember that to this day. So
that is great. That's so great.
He said he calibrated his bicycle in fractions of C and just stuff like that. You remember those things. I don't remember my other teachers. So
yeah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
That's so funny. That was exactly what my teacher is like. She had this frizzy hair. She looked like Miss Frizzle from, but she loved the band Rush, and she had a Rush poster over the door, and she always had some experiment going on during recess. So she got you so excited to come back to the classroom during the break and come see what was going on. And like, what teacher can do that, where you're like, I want to go back after my class is over and see what's happening with that experiment. So she's the one. I blame her.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting what like a good teacher, like how they can kind of in some cases steer your life's career, like
absolutely.
So.
Or a bad teacher.
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah.
That's true. I won't badmouth any teachers on live on air.
I know. I think before I've talked, I shouldn't say the subject, but I think before I've talked about a teacher that was not great in high school, and like I grew up on a small island, so now I'm worried that like word has gone back.
It's okay. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
I just said whoops.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's true. I wonder if I should even mention this, but like, I do actually remember, like, I did, like, have a teacher, like, speaking of, like, talking about, like, women in science and math, like, I did have, like, a teacher, I went to a lot of schools, so hopefully this won't get back, but, like, who said like out loud that, oh, like I don't think women are very good at math, and I was like 8, and I do remember at the time I was like, oh, maybe he's right, I have no idea, I'm 8, like, I don't have enough critical thinking capacity to think that this adult might just be completely full of crap. And it's only like years later that when I thought back, I'm like, oh my god, this guy was so sexist. But like, how was I supposed to know? And I don't know how many girls in his class, as a result of him saying that, was just like, oh well, screw this then, like not good at it anyway. So
yeah, and I think that experience is much more common than you would think. Like, maybe that teacher would have never said that in front of parents, but or maybe he just didn't know that was something you shouldn't say.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, I think teachers have such a huge impact on kids, and so do parents. If parents aren't introducing their kids to anything outside of the classroom, like come check out this science museum, or let's do experiments on the weekend. Then the kids just won't know what science is, and I mean, my parents did a lot of that. I think they never called it science. They were like, let's do activities. So I didn't really know the activities I was doing were science activities, and I wish I had known, or I would have for longer been like, I'm gonna be a scientist.
Sarah, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sarah. I run a channel called Developmental Enthusiast, so I talk a lot about child psychology and brain development and those kinds of things. So thanks for coming on our Hangout.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is cool.
I think
the last thing
I
did.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the last thing that I did in education was all like 20, 21-year-old guys. Which is,
It was with Matt.
From Conjecture.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was a great time, but I was like, I feel out of place.
Yeah. He was on one of our first Hangouts, and that's how he figured out he should do Hangouts.
Oh, cool.
We can all do Hangouts.
That's great.
You said you had some YouTube like stories and advice?
Oh, just little things I found. So, I actually got to go to YouTube in wherever it is, San Marcos, I think that's where it is, up north near San Francisco. And while I was there, I was talking to a bunch of engineers, and they were kind of trying to just get a sense for how creators use YouTube and like how they could help. And I was like, yeah, I wish we had this. And they're like, we have that. Have you checked out this? And I was like, oh, every little thing I said, they're like, we've got that too. Have you tried this? And so I went in the back end of YouTube, and there's a YouTube help thing where they answer your questions within 24 hours. It's amazing. I mean, maybe you know about this, but
No.
I poked around in the back in like the help section, and I had been trying to change my URL to youtube.com/physicsgirl for a long time, and I think I asked some contacts at YouTube for 2 years, and finally got someone at the help place to say, oh, you already reserved that for your like Google Plus page. I was like, what? So fortunately I had reserved it, and it was sitting there for 2 years. But yeah, on the YouTube help, they have someone there helping you. And I thought that YouTube was a bit more hands off, but fortunately they've got more help for creators than you'd think.
I think is yours still like /physicswoman right now, or did you change it?
I have both.
Okay, either one works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think youtube.com/user/physicswoman.
Okay.
And then probably also youtube.com/physicswoman, but now I have youtube.com/physicsgirl.
Awesome.
So yay. What else have I figured out? Just all the analytics. I didn't really know to look at those and the live analytics until Derek from Veritasium showed me how to do all that. And then adding, you can add closed captions. That is something I've been really inspired to do lately, because I saw a talk from a girl who's deaf and has her own channel, and I'm starting to figure out how to add those. So there's just lots of little parts of YouTube. But the help thing, if you already knew about that, you probably think I'm an idiot. But
no,
it was great.
This is the first time I've heard about this.
Yeah, I didn't know they responded to you. I thought it was just like you sent out a question into the ether, and that's why we formed this channel, because we had no idea you could ask YouTube questions.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively new feature. And when I went back, I started poking around what they offer in the back end for creators, and they have a lot more help videos now. Like, they have videos telling you what they offer. I think I watched one of those, and that's how I figured out how to look for help. So I wish I knew where to send you for this, but poke around.
We'll poke around. Yeah, it does seem like sometimes features get rolled out, but I don't know if there's like a centralized places it's like a what's new page, or because like sometimes I'm just like uploading a video and I notice something like, oh, well, this is new, or whatever. And then that's kind of the only way, as far as I know. to figure out what's new.
Right.
But instead of like kind of just checking out like a centralized location where it says this is now a new feature. But maybe they have that. I just don't know where to find
I think yeah, I don't know. I'm so curious now. I think
Yeah.
they do have something like that, which is how I found these YouTube help videos. But I just like, I didn't, one of the things that I told them is like when I use YouTube, I'm usually frustrated because I've been spending so much time finishing a video and I just want to upload it. I just want to be done with it. And I don't want to like spend my extra time poking around the back end of YouTube. But had I done that, I would have found all these extra features.
Oh, I just found this thing called YouTube Creator Blog. Oh.
Yeah, there is a creator's blog, and you can sign up for it as a newsletter.
Okay.
And they'll email you whenever, but every once in a while when new features come out. Like when the latest one that came out was you can now blur faces if you wanted.
That's
interesting.
Okay.
Or license plates. Like you can put a block on something and it will track it and it will blur it.
That makes that's
that's beautiful.
In the video?
Yeah, which helps you out, Liz, because I know sometimes you blur your side window and stuff, so that will just do it automatically for you when you do your car vlogs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yay.
So,
confidentiality.
I think, is that Omar in the comments? He's saying the YT Creator Academy has a lot of things.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's probably, it's probably what I'm thinking of too.
Yeah.
One of the problems I have with that academy, though, is to me, it's more geared towards people that are not
trying to become famous.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's like
that's my problem with it too.
Yeah, a lot of it is like growing your subscriber number and things.
Yeah.
I want to know how to make better content for my audience, not get a bigger audience.
Well, and I'm a huge data nerd, and so I love the analytics, but there are times when I'm like, okay, but how are you getting this data? Where are the data coming from? What does it actually mean when you count this thing, I really want to dive into the minutia of some of that sometimes, and I have to pull back and be like, no, don't go down the rabbit hole.
Maybe it's just the YouTube help, like support.google.com. It could just be that I started poking around on.
Yeah, I've definitely found some answers by just Googling like this problem. I'm having this problem on YouTube, and then like sometimes it leads me to like a YouTube help page, and sometimes it's like a forum where people are like just telling each other what to do. So.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes I've made a lot is that I assume, and this is with video editing too, is that I just assume that that the features don't exist. It's like, like innocent until proven guilty, and I'm like, doesn't have a feature until I find it.
Yeah.
So I think that it has benefited me, and I should more often like just go watch videos or poke around and figure out the extra features that I'm missing on my video editing software and on YouTube help. Because every time I've done that, I've saved myself so much time.
And I know on one of your panels at VidCon, you talked about how Derek helped you with editing. Like he had watched you edit at one point, and he was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I think Minute Physics had done the same thing to him. So editing tips for any of us?
Yeah, well, so he showed the specific things he showed me. He showed me how to synchronize my videos and my audio.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing that by hand. And
what software are you using usually?
I use Final Cut Pro X.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Final Cut Pro 10. Yeah, so syncing the videos and the audio. He also showed me just like the keyboard
shortcuts
to zoom in, zoom out, to cut. I was just like zooming out and dragging things over. He's like like cut and paste. So that made things faster. There's these little tricks that if I stop and think about it make more sense, but it's just bad practices that I had. So cut and paste is another one. He does this a lot where you keep the audio from one clip going into the next clip, and I just kind of cut the audio and the video and make that a hard cut. And he's much more into like nice, beautiful videos with great audio than I am. So I do it when I feel like it.
Sometimes there's like a beauty to like roughly made videos. I feel like you kind of just have to own it and be like, I can't do this properly and whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Or it makes you feel more authentic sometimes, or they can watch your channel grow as you are actually growing. And we talk about it on here a lot, that you have to wear so many hats. You have to figure out how to, write content that's entertaining and accurate, and pick topics and do social media and figure out how to edit and do lighting, and it's just a lot.
It's unbelievable. And lately I've felt really overwhelmed with I started a company. Like, there's things I just never thought that I would ever do, but I started a company so that I could hire people and then get paid through the company by PBS now. So now there's like payroll taxes and things that I just never, and like on top of all the other things, like being creative and doing your research and editing your videos and trying to keep up with social media and not let the comments bother you and all this stuff. It's a lot. It's really hard to keep up with all of it.
Yeah, that's a good point you're making about like all the business stuff, because that's some stuff that we've talked about as well, where it's kind of like, I think it's like for a lot of us, especially when I'm talking, like a lot of times I'm talking more about like, artists and people like to avoid the whole like capitalism of like, just realizing you're starting a small business technically, or like a side job or something. And do you think it's like important for people to think that way from day one, like even when you have 0 subscribers? Like if you're somebody who's like, I want to have a YouTube channel, like should you start having a businessy mindset as soon as possible?
I don't know. I don't know that I think like there's so many things that you don't want to bother yourself with while you're starting a channel. Like there's just enough for you to learn right off the bat. There's so much with video editing, with creating your style and figuring out how to talk without cutting off the end of your sentences.
Yes.
Things like that. So I really haven't I haven't done a lot of this until it was a necessity. Like when I signed with PBS, I was required to get errors and emissions insurance. I had no idea what that was. I had never heard of it. And I was like, I do my work. I don't have errors and emissions, but it's just something that they require. So I had to go find an insurance agent. And that was one of the times when I was like, I should probably start a company, because the company can get insurance and like these are things that like I had not thought about, and I don't think would have been useful to me for me to think about until I got to that point.
Okay. Hi, Ashley.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Can you hear me at all? No.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay, good. I wasn't sure. I didn't have. I only have headphones and no microphone, so I wasn't sure if that was gonna. My computer was gonna understand what was going on.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Ashley?
Sure. I'm Ashley. My channel is Ashleyness Vlogs, and I talk about music, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. Right?
Awesome. What kind of music?
All kinds of music. Whatever. I write pop folk type stuff, and I'm an audio engineer. So.
An audio engineer?
Yes, I am a production manager for an audiobook production house.
Very cool.
She did ASAP Science.
Yeah, I did the ASAP Science book.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was
Gosh.
sweet.
I wish like I never even thought about that as a job, like an audio engineer for audiobooks. Like there's so many jobs I wish that I had known about as a kid. I just wish there was like a weekly, this is what, I guess that's like what, bring your parent to work, bring your parent to school day is for, but we didn't
bring
have
your kids to work day. Yeah.
Or that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It's interesting, yeah, because like I remember in school, it's like they tell you, it's like, oh, you can be a truck driver, you can be a teacher. It's like the jobs have existed for like hundreds of years, or maybe not truck driver, but anyway, because like I started doing a series on my channel just on like what types of jobs you can have if you're interested in art, and it's like you can actually be a museum curator, and you have to learn about like science, and you have to learn about like it's much more than just like you're painting with a brush. And I did have a teacher like through Reddit like send me a message saying like, oh my god, this is so useful, because like a lot of my students don't think that you can do any job with art, like because their parents are telling them, oh, it's not a real job, but it's like, no, there's lots of real jobs you can have. People are just not aware of them.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you get like those little books that are like the fireman rides the toy truck, the doctor uses her stethoscope. I wish it just kept going. Like I'm imagining a book this big. That's just like, the audio engineer uses her microphone. Like, that's a great idea. Someone should do that.
And I was the same way too. In high school, I didn't know what an engineer was. I just wanted to be an astronaut, and I was like, there's not an astronaut major. What do I do? And I looked through, and most astronauts had aerospace engineering. I was like, I don't know what that is, but if that's what most of them do, I guess that's what I'm going to do. And I went to my career counselor person in high school, and I was like, all right, these are the schools I want to go to. Which one do I go to? And she was like, this one has prettier buildings. They're all brick and like, what? So that was very helpful.
Oh gosh.
Can you help me figure out like what an engineer is and stuff? And she literally just printed me off like a Google page, like result.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, this is not helpful. What is your job? I don't understand. So yeah, it's pretty difficult. And when I go to schools to give talks, I usually try and tell them, think about anything in your life and somebody has done something with that. Like if you want to do chemistry, some people make flavors. So those beans that taste like puke and vomit and stuff, that's a chemist. You can do that for a living. So I try and just expand, like think of anything you want to do, and there's probably a job for that.
Yeah, I was kind of interested in like being a perfume maker for a little while. I think it was when I read the book Perfume, where there's the serial killer who makes...
Sorry, that went a place I was not expecting.
Yeah.
It's a great, not that no, that's not what I wanted to do with it. But I mean, I thought it was an interesting job, but that was a creepy book, so I didn't follow that path. It's called Perfume. You should read it.
Yeah, I had a good teacher. I had one of my science teachers. She was I think like a cosmetics like chemist, or like she worked on like perfumes and like face lotions and stuff. And then she became a science teacher. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many interesting jobs out there. Again, like there should be a little book called like 500 Jobs.
But it's probably not a little book. It's probably like the size of like.
The other problem with school districts is they wouldn't keep up to date with it. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think YouTuber is on any like official list. Sure. Yet.
Yet. Although I have a friend who's a high school teacher here in San Diego, and she said now some kids are starting to tell her, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up. And these are high school.
Oh man. Yeah.
And it's almost like I want to be an actor. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of, it's funny that that's something kids see now. They're like, I want to be a YouTuber. It's so different though. Like, if they wanted to be a YouTuber like I am, or like Minute Physics or Veritasium, they have to get a higher science degree, you know? Whereas if they want to go be a vlogger, then maybe, a lot of them have degrees as well, so.
Yeah.
Now, is this like, you're done, this is it, what you want to do, or do you have other plans for things that you'd like to accomplish?
Oh, there's lots of things I'd love to do.
Yeah.
It's done.
I've made it, I'm here, we're good. I have arrived.
I really like this. I'd like to keep this going for as long as possible, but it's so unsure. Who knows if I'll be able to keep doing this.
Yeah.
As long as people are continuing to like the videos, I'm really lucky, but that might not be the case in the future. I would really like to start some kind of wider girls physics camp at some point in my life. I've run a lot of those at like a small scale. I ran an overnight for 40 middle school girls at the aquarium here this year, which is amazing. It's so much fun, and the girls had a great time, did physics and met scientists, but I want to make that bigger. Like, I want it to not just be for 40 girls in San Diego. That's something I'd like to do. I would love to work on something longer, like a documentary of sorts. I'd love to go back and do more science. I'm still, like, that's always in the back of my mind. Like, I miss doing physics, and I almost see this job as a way where I can explore a lot of different areas of physics and then decide what I would want to go and study, were I to go back and do a graduate degree. So this is not it, but this is really, really awesome for now.
So what kind of camp would you want to do, you think, in the future?
I mean, a physics camp. The ones I run are just like, I've had graduate women in physics come help out, and they run the little stations where they have activities for kids, and they have they talk a bit about what they do, and then we have a keynote. We had a keynote speaker who was a professor from UCSD in astrophysics. She came and talked to the girls, and they just loved her, and they asked so many questions, and I was like, no, yes. So something like that, where, bringing the scientists, these role models, these women, to young girls and showing them what scientists do, but introducing them to fun physics at the same time.
Yeah, I find that as a hard balance too, because I started as being like a NASA Speakers Bureau speaker, and I wanted to broaden that impact, and that's why I started a YouTube channel. But there is something that missing when you're not like actually there with the people.
Yeah.
So it's a hard balance of making a bigger impact and a broader impact. So. Yeah,
and I feel somewhat like this is a good way for me to start, because the internet just has such a broad reach that my audience has grown way more than I ever expected it to. I mean, when I passed 10,000 subscribers, I was like sitting with my mom. I was like, Mom, it's gonna turn over into 10,000. I was so excited. And I just couldn't believe that like it had gone that far, and she cried, and I was jumping up and down.
Oh, so she wasn't like, wait, what?
No, she hated the idea of me doing a YouTube channel at first, but she's been following it very closely.
That's awesome.
I don't know, since I won the Flame Challenge. Because she loves Alan Alda, so she was like, she got to meet Alan Alda. I think that was...
She's like, doesn't matter, YouTube.
Yeah, she came with me to New York for that award ceremony, and I think she just like had the time of her life. I didn't know who he was until the competition. But she was so excited, so I think that was sort of, in her eyes, was like, my daughter has made it.
She was Alan Alda.
Awesome. So yeah, YouTube has a much broader reach than I ever really expected, and so through that, I'm hoping someday, maybe it's going to be a set of videos that go along with all these demonstrations that help organize a camp or something, and maybe it's just going to be freely available to whoever wants to run a camp based on the demonstrations and activities in these videos. I don't know, but I see them going hand in hand, where there's this stuff you can watch online, and there's these videos that you can watch. You can consume media, but you have to do stuff and try stuff for yourself. And I haven't gotten to that point yet, or I haven't figured out how I want to start having that impact, where I'm encouraging parents and teachers to do these kinds of experiments with their students and with their kids. But that's something that I want to do in the future.
That's actually what Tim and I are trying to do in our next series we're pushing out. We're going along with, do you know the NGSS standards?
Yeah.
So we're trying to go along with some of those for physics and for the AP stuff. and we're going to use sensors. So we're going to teach people how to use Arduinos and stuff,
Oh,
and
cool.
where the like numbers and the word problems come from,
Mhm.
and kind of put that out there for them. So because you started out having like a lot of hands-on stuff, like your vortex and I can't remember the name of it, where you stacked all the balls together and you
Yeah,
The ball
had a
drop.
lot of like
stacked ball drop.
you had a lot of demonstration stuff on there, so I could definitely see that going hand in hand. But I do know we only have a few minutes left because you have to go in 9 minutes, right?
Yeah, I gotta go. I'm I'm filming a video about whether a cell phone works in a microwave.
I'd like to know that.
We have some surprising results this morning, so I've asked my friends to let me use their microwave. So I'm actually going around to use some different microwaves tonight.
Cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Are there any more things you want to tell us about that you're working on, or places people should go to find you?
Fortunately, most of the stuff is Googleable, which is a good name for SEO. But physicsgirl.org, youtube.com/physicsgirl, and then Twitter, Facebook, Instagram are all the Physics Girl. What else am I working on? I've hopefully got some collaborations coming up soon. I am working on a collaboration with Derek from Veritasium. We did a video before because he lives in LA, so it's easy for me to go up there. He helped me with a video last year on Pi Day that was how to calculate pi using darts and throwing them at a dartboard, which is a lot of fun. But that was just on my channel, so we're doing a full real collaboration this time. So hopefully that happens. He's hard to pin down because he's always traveling. So that's coming up, and then a couple other collaborations coming up. But I haven't really done a lot of collaborations, so I'm excited for that to potentially happen more this year.
I like the one you did with Vanessa, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Great.
That was cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that one was really last minute. I think she contacted me 5 days before that we were supposed to do that. So this one's a bit more planned out, which is good.
Are you going to be at VidCon this year?
I will. Yeah, actually, I think it's gone through, but I'll be doing a panel with Vanessa and with Emily Grassley and with my friend Anna from Grow Science, who's also with PBS.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite people. She's just so gross.
Yeah.
I think we have a question from, is that Brian?
Yeah.
Survival science.
Hold on. He says, I live in San Diego. Any opinions of the YouTube scene around here? If there is one.
I don't know much I don't really know much about the YouTube scene here. There's
South Dakota? Is that SD?
South Dakota.
San Diego or South Dakota?
That's funny. People write SD here, so.
I think San Diego, but I could be wrong about that.
No, I think it's San Diego because he said he lived in California. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny. I don't really know. There's a meetup that I went to that was a filmmakers meetup, but I didn't get much out of it. They were looking to make longer version videos, but there's another YouTuber named Jabril who does a channel called SEFD, and he contacted me and has been working as my editor since he contacted me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's really cool. I know he does a prank channel also, and has been working with some other YouTubers doing that, and he's collaborated with some other YouTubers here and there. But besides him, he's the only person I've met in San Diego, so I don't really know.
Well, Brian, you should start a meetup and invite everyone.
I have been wanting to do a meetup in San Diego. I don't know if I have a big enough audience for that to happen. But I asked Derek recently if he likes his meetups, hoping that maybe I could convince him to come down here and do a meetup here, and his audience would show up so that I could talk to people. But he was like, yeah, for the most part, I like them. It didn't sound too promising, so.
Well, if you do a meetup at VidCon, let us know. We'll definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Are you all coming to VidCon?
Yep.
I believe I
Most
am.
of us, yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Okay. Very cool. Well, good to know. Maybe we'll do like a women in science meetup.
Woohoo!
That'd be awesome.
Yay!
Yes, do it.
A panel.
And if you have any questions about YouTube stuff and you ever want to tweet at us and ask us, like, where is this? We might be a little bit faster than YouTube help. We might not know the answer, but you can ask us.
Awesome.
Because the reason we started this, too, is because YouTubing's a lonely thing.
It is.
You're just by yourself, either editing or staring at a camera excitedly.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's really great that you do this hangout really often, because I feel like up until I hired a writer, I was really just on my own. So
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Well, I want
I
you
have
to
to take off, so. Sorry.
Keep it up, please.
So I'm going to try, and we might just lose you, so I want to say goodbye before I do, but I'm going to try and refresh my thing so I can get that screen back that has the button. So if anyone had any last-minute questions or anything, I wanted to let you do that real quick before I hit refresh in case we lose everything. Is everyone good?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see
Thank
what
you so
happens.
much.
Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was
yeah, it was a
a
lot
real
of fun.
pleasure.
Sorry about Penguin, but she's calmed down now.
It's okay. All right. Oh, are we gone?
I don't know where we are.
Oh, you're back.
Yay!
All
Oh,
right.
is that better?
Yes.
All right. Well, I definitely have to leave, so thank you guys. I'm going to take off. Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you. It was a lot of fun. Jen.
So I can end the broadcast now if you guys are all okay with that.
Fine with me.
Cool.